But here's the truth, not tracking this information is actually costing you. It's costing you potential clients, wasted marketing dollars, and the chance to build a predictable, steady pipeline of new business. I'm Sylvia Garibaldi, founder and CEO of a well-established marketing training and done-for-you services company, tailored specifically for the modern legal and financial professional worldwide. While it's taken some trial and error to figure out which methods get the best results for professionals who are looking to grow their practices, fast forward to today, my team and I have nailed down and perfected a process that has helped so many of our clients consistently achieve outstanding results and create a legacy for their practices. I created the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast to give you simple, actionable, non-salesy, and results-driven marketing to grow your legal or financial practice like so many of our clients have. If you're a lawyer, mediator, financial, or divorce professional who is looking to become highly visible and wants to create a practice that makes an impact, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 83 of the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast. I'm your host, Sylvia Garibaldi. So whether you're just starting out or maybe you've been practicing for years, I want to talk about something that almost everyone in your field struggles with, even if they don't realize it. And so here's the thing. One of my absolute favorite questions to ask legal mediation and divorce professionals is simply this. How do your prospects and clients actually find out about your services? Sounds simple enough, right? Well, you'd actually think that everyone would have a clear answer, but honestly, what I find time and time again is I get this awkward pause, maybe a nervous chuckle, and then silence. And their answer basically is they really don't know. So I guess my question is, why is this so surprising? Because knowing exactly how clients find you is one of the most powerful pieces of information you can have. And it's the foundation for growing your practice in a smart, efficient way. And I think without that knowledge, you're basically flying blind. You're spending time, money, and energy on marketing efforts that might not be working or missing out on opportunities to build those stronger referral relationships. And here's the kicker. Most lawyers, mediators, and divorce professionals don't track this information at all. They don't have a system in place. Sometimes it's because they're overwhelmed with client work and paperwork. Sometimes it's simply because they think word of mouth is enough. Or maybe they worry about asking clients too many questions during what's often a sensitive time. But here's the truth. Not tracking this information is actually costing you. It's costing you potential clients, wasted marketing dollars, and the chance to build a predictable, steady pipeline of new business. So, in this episode, we're going to unpack why this question stumps so many professionals in your field, why it's such a big missed opportunity, and most importantly, how do you start tracking this information right now without complicated tech and no extra headaches? So just simple steps that can make a huge difference in your practice. And if you've ever wondered where your next client is coming from or felt like you're just guessing when it comes to marketing, this episode is for you. I'm thinking about you in this episode. So let's dive in. So let me paint you a picture. I'm sitting down with a seasoned estate planning lawyer, someone who's been in the game for over 20 years, and we're chatting about their practice, their clients, and I throw out my favorite question. Hey, how do your clients usually find you? And there's a pause. They look up, think for a second, and they say, that's a really good question, but I'm not entirely sure. I guess most people just hear about me somehow or through word of mouth. And really, this isn't just a one-off. I've had the same conversation countless times with so many professionals, even people who run very successful practices. It's almost universal. And I think this moment when they realize that they actually don't know where their clients are coming from Or they might say, yes, I think it's word of mouth or referrals. So they have a general sense. They didn't really dig down to find out precisely which channels or people. So why does this happen? Well, first off, most of you went to law school or mediation training to help people and not to become a marketing expert. So you're really focused on your cases, your clients' stories, and making a difference. Tracking marketing data, that just wasn't part of the job. And then there's the whole word of mouth thing. So many professionals in this space rely on referrals from past clients or colleagues. And, don't get me wrong, referrals are gold. But if you're not tracking who's sending you business or where those referrals are really coming from, you're missing out. You're missing out on patterns and opportunities that could help you grow even more. Another big reason, time. And I understand your days are packed with client meetings, paperwork, and everything in between. And it's so easy to really, push that task of tracking how clients find you to the bottom of that to-do list, right? Especially when you're juggling so much already. And let's not forget the sensitivity of your work, especially those in divorce and family law, estate planning. All of those are deeply personal areas. And sometimes it feels awkward to ask clients too many questions during intake, especially when they're already going through a very difficult time. But here's the thing I want to really highlight. This blind spot is actually holding you back. Why? Because not knowing how clients find you means you're missing out on valuable information, valuable data that could help you make smarter decisions about your marketing, about your networking, and even how to serve your clients. So if you've ever felt like you're just guessing when it comes to where your clients are coming from, you're definitely not alone in this. And I think the good news is there's a way to fix it. And it's actually easier than you think. So, though it might not seem urgent, I think the truth is it's costing you in ways that you might not realize. As I've mentioned before, we're looking at wasted marketing dollars. So let me give you an example. Maybe you imagine you're spending money on a website. Maybe it's running more ads or even sponsoring local events. But if you're not tracking which one of those events or efforts are actually bringing in clients, you could be throwing money out the window. Another quick example, you might be investing in a fancy online directory, but if not a single client ever mentions it, that could be costing you more, and you could be investing that money somewhere else and saving instead. So let's look at missed opportunities. Let's say you get a handful of new clients from a particular therapist or financial advisor, but you haven't been tracking those referrals. You're really not going to realize that this particular referral partner is quietly sending you some of the best clients. And if you knew this information, you would be nurturing that relationship, right? You would be thanking them, maybe even setting up a more formal referral partnership. Maybe you would be co-collaborating with them a little bit more. But if you're not tracking, those opportunities slip through the cracks. Okay, I hope this is making sense and this is resonating. I think there's also the issue of unpredictability. If you don't know where your clients are coming from, it's almost impossible to forecast your pipeline. So 1 month you're busy, the next month it's quiet. And I hear this complaint a lot, right? That roller coaster ride. And so you're left wondering what changed. Did a referral source dry up? Did your website drop in search rankings? And I think without data, you're just guessing. And I don't want to forget about your own peace of mind, because that's going to be super important as well. When you're not sure what's working, it's so easy to feel anxious about the future of your practice, right? You might find yourself constantly chasing the next marketing trend or hoping something sticks instead of focusing in on what's proven to work for you, okay? Here's a scenario that I see all the time. So a lawyer or mediator has a steady stream of clients, mostly from referrals, and then all of a sudden, things slow down. and they realize that they have no idea which relationships to check in on, which marketing channels to ramp up, or even what's changed. Like, how many of you can relate to that, right? You get these referrals coming in, but you're not sure which referral partner sent them to you. And so what happens is you're left scrambling when just a little bit of tracking could have given you the answers months earlier, okay? So bottom line here is this: not knowing how clients find you is not just a missed detail, it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity to grow, to save money, and to build a practice that feels steady and predictable. And for some of you that are really committed to building that legacy practice, this information becomes even more important. So this is a problem that you can solve, and I think it starts by acknowledging it right here, right now, and then taking action to change that. By the way, if you're finding this episode valuable, I've covered related topics in past episodes that can help deepen your understanding, so please check out those episodes. I'll drop the links in the show notes so you can easily find them. So let's say you're ready to stop guessing and you actually want to know how clients are finding you. What does that look like? And, why is it such a game changer for lawyers, mediators, and divorce professionals? Well, I think first off, I want to say this does not need to be complicated. You don't need fancy software or a marketing degree to get started. And I think one of the simplest things you can do is to just add one question to your intake process. How did you hear about us? So whether you're talking to someone on the phone, meeting them in person, or just having them fill out an online form, that is a must-have question. And here's the key. Don't just ask. Actually write it down somewhere so that you can find it later. So you should track this information formally, maybe in a CRM or a spreadsheet. So we've talked about why this matters so much. And I think because the minute you start tracking this information and you formalize it, you put it somewhere where you can actually see the results, you're going to start to see patterns. And maybe you notice that half of your new clients mention a specific therapist, or that your website contact form is getting more action after you updated it. So suddenly, you're not guessing. You have real information that you can use. So let me give you a real-world example. So I worked with a mediator who thought most of her clients came from attorney referrals. But after just a few weeks of tracking, she realized a surprising number were actually finding her through Google searches and online reviews. And that changed everything, because what we started to do is to put more effort into her online presence, her social media, her content marketing strategy. And within a few months, her pipeline was stronger and more predictable than ever. So another big win here is being able to thank and nurture your top referral sources. Because when you know exactly who's sending you clients, you can reach out, you can show your appreciation, and even build those formal partnerships. And I think that not only keeps those referrals coming, it often leads to even more business down the road. Okay, so let's talk about your marketing budget, because when you know what's working, you can confidently spend your time and money where it counts. And I think that that's important to do. So no more throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. You can double down on those channels that actually bring in clients and cut back on the ones that don't. And I think the best part is you start to feel in control. Instead of riding those ups and downs every month of that mystery pipeline, you're making decisions based on facts. And I think another benefit is that you can actually start to forecast a little bit better your workload. You can plan for growth, and you can sleep a little bit easier knowing that you're not just hoping for the best, right? You're building your practice with intention. So if you're ready to make your client pipeline steadier, your marketing smarter and more profitable, and you really want those relationships stronger, then I think tracking is the very first important step. So you're convinced that tracking how clients find you is important, right? But maybe you're thinking, okay, but how do I actually do this without making my life more complicated? And I think the good news is you don't need a big overhaul or fancy tech to get started. So I want to break this down step by step. And as I mentioned before, adding one simple question to your intake process, such as, how did you hear about us? And making it a standard part of every conversation, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, or whether it's on your website's contact form. If you have staff, it's going to be absolutely important that you let them know that this is now a must-ask question for every new inquiry. And so then you want to decide where you keep this information. And as I said, it doesn't have to be high-tech, maybe just a spreadsheet. That works fine just to start. And then creating a column for the client's name, the date, and their answer. And so if you're already using a case management system or CRM, just check to ensure there's a spot to log this information, because the key is to be consistent so that you can actually see the patterns over time. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the categories. So don't settle for vague answers like internet or referral. You need to be a lot more specific. So was it Google? Was it a particular website? Was it a friend or another professional? If so, what is their name? And I think the more detail you get, the more useful your data will be down the line. And here's something a lot of people overlook, and that is reviewing your data regularly. So what I like to do is set a reminder once a month or even once a quarter to look over your spreadsheet or your CRM and see what's working. Are you getting more referrals from a certain referral partner? Is maybe your online workshop that you deliver every quarter bringing in the consistent results for you? So use this information to adjust your marketing efforts and focus in on what's bringing those results. And I think more importantly is to really thank those referral sources. If you have referral partners or different groups or associations that are promoting your work, and if you notice someone is sending you multiple clients, reach out and let them know that you appreciate it. And I think a simple thank you goes a long way in building those relationships. And if you're seeing activity coming from particular marketing activities, like maybe a webinar or maybe being a guest on podcasts, you really need to double down on those marketing activities that are helping you bring in those clients, okay? So it's not only thanking referral sources, but it's also doing a deep dive into those marketing activities that are bringing in those consistent prospects and referrals, okay? And so when you identify those marketing activities, you need to double down on them, do them more often, invest more money in them. And so this is one of the key things that you will be able to decipher once you do that regular quarterly check-in or monthly check-in with the data. Okay, I hope this is making sense. So as a quick recap, you're going to add the question to your intake. You're going to record the answers in one place. You're going to get specific about sources. And then you're going to really review your data regularly and double down on those key activities. And then, of course, showing appreciation to your top referrers. Okay, so I really wanted to keep this simple so that you can take action immediately. Because at the end of the day, yes, there's other technology out there to help you track, but I want to keep this as simple as possible to just get you out there and tracking as soon as you can to start looking at trends. Okay, so no complicated systems, no extra stress, just a few small tweaks that can help you make a huge difference in your practice. Okay, so you've started tracking how every client finds you, and you're jotting it down in your CRM or spreadsheet. You're reviewing it every month. You're getting specific about each source. You're doubling down on those marketing activities. So what does this mean for your practice 6 months, a year, or even 5 years from now, right? Because this is pretty important. You want to know this. And here's what I'll tell you. First, your client pipeline becomes much more predictable and reliable, okay? So instead of riding that roller coaster of busy and slow months, and you know what I mean by that, you're going to actually see real patterns emerge. So, for example, you might notice that after you speak at a local event, you get a bump in inquiries, or that referrals from a particular therapist always turns into high quality clients. Or maybe it's that real estate agent who is consistently thinking of you and referring new prospects to your practice. So, with this kind of insight, you can actually plan your marketing and networking calendar around what works best, smoothing out the ups and downs. Okay. Second, you'll make smarter data-driven marketing decisions. So let's say you're running Google ads, or you're sponsoring a local event, or maybe you're networking with accountants, for example. By tracking results, you'll see which channel brings in the most clients and which ones just aren't worth your time or money. And you can confidently shift your budget to what's working, to cut out what's not, and even experiment with new strategies, knowing that you quickly see that they're paying off. So let me share with you some examples from the work that we do with professionals. What are we seeing from a marketing perspective that's working? And, we hear time and time again when our clients do consistent online webinars or workshops, if they're a guest on a podcast, or they are actually using the communication channels and starting conversations with people inside of social media, for example, direct messaging, they get results. And when they post consistently social media on their platforms, over time, they see consistent inquiries coming in. So this is what we see is working for our clients from a marketing perspective. And our clients absolutely love seeing this consistency. So if you're one of those professionals that's feeling stuck and you're not sure how to start this process, then I invite you to book a strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And what we'll do is we'll kind of go through the process and identify which areas you need to really double down on in order to start seeing that consistent flow of client inquiries. Okay? Third thing is you want to deepen your relationship with those key referral sources. So when you can actually point to exactly how many clients Mark sent your way or how many clients Mary sent your way, then you have a reason to reach out to both of them to say thank you, right? And maybe you send a handwritten note, maybe you invite them for coffee, or you can even set up a more formal referral agreement. So over time, these relationships become a steady, reliable source of new business, and you'll stand out as someone who truly values your partners. Fourth, you're going to improve your client experience from the very first contact. So what do I mean by this? When you know what messaging or platforms brought someone to your door, you can tailor your initial conversations to address those specific concerns. So for example, if a client found you through a blog post about co-parenting, you can start by talking about those issues. You know that this is a pain point. You're seeing more inquiries come in. So guess what? Now your marketing switches to talking more about the power of co-parenting. And what happens is this builds trust. It shows that you're paying attention, and it makes clients feel understood the right way. And what happens is you're speaking their language, right? Your messaging is resonating with them. And that's super important to invite more inquiries, right? Because we're watching, we're listening, we're paying attention to the data coming in from inquiries based on your social media posts. So if you're seeing more inquiries coming in from particular social media posts, you know that you've hit something pretty important. Okay, I hope that's making sense. All right, the fifth thing here is tracking sets you up for sustainable, scalable growth, especially for those of you that want to build a legacy practice, right? And so as your data grows, you'll be able to spot long-term trends. And maybe you'll notice that more clients are coming from online searches year after year, or that certain types of cases spike at specific times of the year. And this allows you to plan staffing, plan your marketing, right? You want to pump up your marketing in advance of these important time periods where you know that there's a demand for your services. And even new service offerings. This can help you decide, okay, hey, is this a new service offering? Should I be changing this up a little bit? And it actually just gives you more confidence instead of relying on those gut feelings or guesswork. And here's a bonus tip. Share your tracking insights with your team. When everyone understands where clients are coming from, they can help nurture those sources, they can help spot new opportunities, and it helps them stay motivated by seeing the direct impact of your efforts. So, by starting to track today, you're not just fixing a blind spot, you're building a foundation for long-term success. And you'll also have the clarity to make those smart decisions, right? The confidence to invest in what works, and also the reputation of a professional who truly is on top of their game. And who doesn't want that? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, please just remember, start simple, right? Make it simple to start. Even a basic spreadsheet and a monthly review can make a huge difference. And if you ever want to walk through your tracking process or need help figuring out what's working, reach out. I'd love to help. There's a link for a strategy call in the show notes. Okay. If there's one thing I hope you walk away with today, it's this. You don't have to guess your way through building a successful practice. Knowing how your clients find you gives you so much clarity, so much control and confidence. And the best part, it's completely within your reach. And you don't need a huge team to do this. You don't need fancy tech. You just need to start asking the right question and paying attention to the answer. And if you belong to a big firm, for example, and you may be thinking, oh, my firm's tracking this information, that's great. They most likely are already doing this. But wouldn't you like to know where your referrals are coming from in terms of, people that are referring to you, or maybe speaking engagements that you have done, right? So you may find that your referral source is different from what your firm is bringing in as referral sources, okay? I hope that's making sense. So yes, the firm needs to track, but you should be tracking as a lawyer as well, or a mediator. If you're working for a firm, you should be tracking where that's coming in from, okay? And I think once you do this, everything starts to shift, and you really just stop wondering where the next client is coming from. So you're ready to start building a practice that feels focused, sustainable, and full of potential. So here's my invitation to you. Don't leave this as just another great idea you heard on a podcast. I want you to put it into action today. Add that question, as I mentioned, to your intake. Start jotting down those answers and check back in a few months, a few weeks, and you're going to be surprised at what you learn. Because when you start tracking how clients find you, you're not just collecting data, you're setting up a practice to grow with intention and not luck. Thanks for tuning in today. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes packed with actionable strategies to grow your practice. See you in the next episode.